Hello everyone, my name is Pukar Dhital. I'm an English instructor for Grade 7 and today we're going to begin a lesson, See the Difference. So let's begin the class.
So let's begin the chapter. See the difference. Well, before we begin the chapter, let's consider a few things. Alright, so as a starter, so let's figure this out, what's written here. Look at this picture. So let's just observe the picture here and compare the family members. Alright, use the words tall, young, short, and old for comparison. Make as many sentences as you can. Now, let's say they are all brothers and sisters in the same family, perhaps. Right? So starting from Osis, Sylvia, Vikas, and Dipes. Okay, so now let's also see and observe how these words, in the example you can see how tall is used here, right? In various forms, and we also talk about that after a while, right? For instance, as we read, Osis is the tallest boy in the family, right? So here, as the picture says, all right, as we observe the picture here, right, it's all about comparison, and what we can see is Osis is the tallest boy in the family. Now, when we compare it to the other person, Osis is taller than Sylvia, right? And again, here's the comparison between Vikas and Dipes. Vikas is taller than Dipes. Now again, Sylvia to Vikas. Now Sylvia is taller than Vikas, right? So, alright, think about young. Who do you think is the youngest member of the family here? Can you compare it? Similarly, let's work on the short here. Who do you think is short here? Or who is the shortest here? Similarly, who do you think is the oldest here? Alright, so this we can certainly figure out. Alright, so tall is done here. How about in the classroom, you take time and you work on young, short, and old. For instance, what you can write for the pace? Well, you can possibly write, so you know what we're working on, let's say young, okay? The pace is the youngest boy in the family. So this is when we are working for young, alright? So Dipesh is the youngest boy in the family. Now again compare Dipesh to Vikas now, right? To which you can say, let's give it number A. Now in B, you can say Dipesh is younger than Vikas. Now, let's again continue the comparison here. Let's give number C here. Now let's come to Sylvia and Osis. Sylvia is younger than Osis. Vikas is younger than Sylvia. The idea is how we are comparing these four figures, right, with these adjectives, all right? So of course this way you can also work on short and you can also work on old, all right? And not only that, so before we move on to that, what I say is, remember two has been done here, tall and young is already done. Now let's move on to what we call positive, comparative, and superlative. So what are these? Now we have one adjective. Let's say if we have something like angry as an adjective here, so its comparative form becomes angrier and superlative form becomes angriest. Okay, similarly if we have something like, let's say, far, okay, in terms of distance, so the comparative of far becomes further and its superlative becomes furthest. So if the positive adjective here is bad, all right, its comparative becomes worse and superlative becomes worst. Again, moving further, we might have, what if it's beautiful? Its comparative becomes more beautiful and its superlative becomes most beautiful. So this is how the adjective changes its form when we compare, right? And of course, if we have good, it's always better and then it's best. Let's look for one more word. If we have, let's say, bright, it's brighter and brightest. And remember that every time it moves on from positive to comparative, it gets intensified. All right. So angrier is much, it's more intensified than the state of angry. So when the person is angrier, it means he is way above in a state of being angry. All right. And if we compare it saying, oh, he was at the angriest possible form, it means that he was, the degree of his angriness, all right, it's at its peak. So every time it changes from this form to the other, it intensifies. Okay, so this is what you can, in the classroom you can think of more of these adjectives and change those. See how many adjectives you can figure it out. All right, write down those adjectives and change its form to comparative and then the superlative. Okay, this you certainly can do. And all right, so as a homework, you might want to first complete the pictures which I had showed you earlier. Okay, like for instance, you can work on. Right now, young has been done. You can work on short and then you can work on old, these two adjectives, all right, and see how you can compare between these family members, all right. And secondly, as a homework, first you can do compare the family members in the picture using the adjectives short. Now, always remember, by the way, adjectives always defines the noun, all right. It gives proper meaning to noun. It gives proper, or rather, it gives proper sense to noun. Okay, adjective is also called a naming word. All right. So, for instance, if I say I saw a black example, all right. If I say I saw a black cat, so you know what? Here, cat is a common noun here. Okay. While what kind of cat? Now, what color was the cat? See, it's a black cat. So that's why this is defining the noun here. See, that's why this is adjective here. Okay, so adjective always defines the noun. It's a naming word. Let's look at one more example. The girl with a long hair was my school friend. Okay, now again here, look at this. The girl, of course, all right, here we're talking about noun here. The girl with a long hair is again a noun here, but what kind of hair now? All right, so it talks about a long hair. All right, so that's why this long hair, again, it's an adjective here. It defines the hair now. How long was it? Was it short? Was it long? Right? So it was long hair. Right? So it always defines the noun. Okay, so that's adjective. So here, what you can do is compare the family members in the picture using the adjectives short and old as given in the book, of course. All right. And also, what you can do is write any 20 adjectives followed by the comparative and superlative. Right? So write any 20 adjectives followed by the comparative and superlative adjective, of course. So you can start again with that similar chart which we had made earlier, all right? Just like positive, comparative, and superlative, and make sure you write 20 adjectives and provide comparative and superlative form of those adjectives. So this we certainly can do as a homework. Okay, so this much for today, and if you have any queries, feel free to email us at learning@deerwalk.edu. Thank you very much.